Hello, hello, everybody. All right. Well, you may have heard of this common phrase that when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And when it comes to finding your niche, many entrepreneurs resist this and they believe that, casting a wider net opens up more opportunities, right? And they fear that if they niche down, they'll lose those opportunities. This is especially true for my multi-passionates in the room who really hate feeling boxed in. And I often hear that, I just don't want to exclude anyone, right? But I'm just sorry to break it to you that you already are. People are selecting in and out of following you, not just because of what you say, but also because of what you're not saying. All right. So the truth is, not having a niche could actually be costing you some time and money. So today I'm Built by BIPOC. Why not having a niche is costing you time and money? We'll be talking more about this and how we can maybe fix this problem. And then while speaking to maybe everyone, while it might feel safe, it might actually be a trap. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. My name is Carissa Begonia. I am a business coach for BIPOC entrepreneurs, a LinkedIn sales and marketing expert and top voice. I'm a second-generation Filipino-American daughter of immigrants and the first and only in my family to start my own business. So I believe in entrepreneurship and that it is the path to equity and that life design is liberation. And at Conscious Exchange, we're creating an ecosystem and a movement of BIPOC entrepreneurs with the same shared mission of achieving time, location, financial, and occupational freedom for ourselves, our families, and our communities. I just want to thank you so much for joining Built by BIPOC, business tips and mindset shifts. And this series is where I share answers to common questions that I often hear from entrepreneurs and some tips to avoid or correct these mistakes that I often hear people make. All right. And if you feel like, you enjoy what you learn here today, I truly invite you to DM me and we can connect further. All right. So let's get into it. Why not having a niche might be costing you time and money. So I just want to take us back to one of my main frameworks, the Power Play system, in which, I've kind of distilled down that all our different business activities can be broken down into three parts: product, marketing, and sales. You need to have a product that people want. You need to have marketing and visibility to that product. And then you need to be able to convert or sell that product, right? So that's how I kind of break this thing up today. So how does not having a niche potentially impact your product, right? So when you don't have a niche, you may not have an offer that solves a specific problem. And more importantly, it doesn't solve your ideal client's problem. So how does this maybe show up? One way that this can be seen in your business is that maybe you're getting on calls. You don't really have a lead generation problem. People are on those calls, but you're not closing them, right? Or maybe it is that people are not booking them to begin with. So one of the problems here that I see is that, you're not actually solving a problem that your ideal client actually cares about. Or maybe it's not one that's really urgent or in high demand or even high priority. And so kind of the mistake as an example that I kind of see is working with my DEI consultants, right? And I hear when I ask them, oh, what do you do? What's your kind of specialty, or even niche within DEI is a niche, right? And they say, I do all these trainings, and they kind of just list off a couple things. I do overall strategy, I do audits. And when I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I ask them, do you have any kind of like, a one pager or something that you can share that with me? And like, no, I don't really have that because everything is custom. Okay, well, the consequence of everything is custom, right, is that folks might not know what you actually can focus on and they can't grab onto anything, right? And what they'll do is they'll move on to someone else. They'll go on to someone else who has a suite and they can see their services on their website or on a, PDF or something, because they can look at it and point to something like, I need that. So if that is happening to you, that might be, again, you're too general in what you actually offer in your business. And so one of the solutions I was alluding to earlier is build that one pager, create that outline from an offer. Maybe you've already served clients, right? People who've known you, so you didn't have to have all the assets, marketing assets, but build an outline of what you've already sold. One more specific example of this is workshops. I work with a lot of folks who are speakers or who are aspiring speakers. And so I'm like, what are the topics you actually speak on, right? So either through a speaker kit or, again, even if it's a one-page document that tells you what are the speaking topics or the workshop topics, and not just what's the topic, right? Psychological safety, the definitions of DEI, right? What is the point of this? Who is it for? Who should be attending that? And what will they walk away with? And what will the impact be on their business? All right. Give them something tangible that someone can read and say, hey, I need that. That's exactly what I want. Okay. Moving on to marketing and how, again, not having a niche might be impacting your marketing. So where this shows up, it's usually that your language is too general, the words that you are using. So some symptoms of this could be, you're posting every day and people aren't really responding or engaging to it, right? You go back and kind of like this swirl, the spin happens where you go back again and again, and you're in this kind of spiral of never-ending posts, and you're like, hey, is this even working? So this kind of these mindset games are coming in now, where you're like, is this working? Am I even good at this? Do I need to, like, so what am I doing wrong, right? If you want to drop in the chat for me, is that you? Have you said that to yourself or said that to somebody else? Maybe I've known people said that to me. So no shame if that is what's going on. But what might be happening there is that you're not moving anyone, right? You're not activating anybody. Your language could be very generic. It's something that everyone is saying. What's your spin? Or it's just too generalized. So it's like, I don't really know if you're talking to me. So the mistake, I'll give you an example of this, can be, so I see this mostly with my life coaches, right, who really do help with a variety of things. And sometimes that tagline or what they say is like, hey, I help people live their best lives and feel confident in who they are and make, choices that align with their values, right? I'm like, that's everyone. Like, okay, like, so one of the things I first think about is like, well, what is living your best life defined as? Confidence in what areas, and where might I be struggling? Health, in my relationships, in work, in business? Like, what kind of space do I actually think I need help with? And for you as the consultant or the coach, where do you actually have the most expertise and interest? Just because you can talk about a lot of different areas, you might not be that excited to focus on work. I've had my life coaches say, like, I don't really want to talk so much about like work and business. I really more am caring about, their health and and creativity. I'm like, well, so say that, right? Because someone's going to draw and be more drawn to you actually calling that out loud, because they can see themselves again. You're speaking to them, right? So that is the kind of the life coach dilemma sometimes. So in terms of solutions for that, I want you to think about, how can you get someone to say, when they read your content, when they read your copy, any kind of marketing that you put out there, oh, that's me. You're talking to me, right? And so I want to kind of share with you like how nuanced this can be, how small this can be. I work with entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, online service providers specifically, and they are anywhere from the beginning stage of their business. So they're in the start stage. They're in the growth stage. They're going from, okay, I started, I have some traction, but I'm now trying to hit my first 6 figures, right? And then, people who are 6 figures, 500,000 plus, right? So specifically, even with the folks who are under 100,000, right? The folks who are starting and the folks who are growing, one of the things that literally comes out of their mouths that I've heard over and over again is, if for the starters, I want to leave my job, right? I can't wait to get this thing going and out of my brain and onto paper and physically in the world, and it's happening, so I can leave my job, whether it's toxic or if I like it or not, right? But I want to go. I want more of that freedom, right? I want more autonomy in my day. I want to spend more time with my kids, actual things that they're saying. Conversely, again, the same person that's in this niche of doing business, they're a coach or a consultant, but they're making less than $100,000, but they've already started. They're saying, I don't want to go back to that job, right? I don't want to, this market is tough. Like, I just need this thing to work so I don't actually have to go back, right? So 2 different things. One wants to leave, one doesn't want to go back. But that specificity is calling a different person in a different stage of their business, even though on a higher level of the demographic, they're the same, right? So I wanted you to see that little bit of a nuanced difference and why it's important to kind of know exactly what people are saying, because those are actually two different ICAs, ideal client avatars, two different niches, right? Under a larger umbrella. So how can you apply that to yourself? I want you to think about, okay, how do people, again, say to themselves, that is me? And so one of the things you could do is think about one person, just one person, not several of the same kind of idea, ICA. Literally one of your clients, your favorite client, probably, right? And if you don't have clients yet, you're in that start stage. What about somebody who has asked you for advice along the way? Because that's probably why you're a good coach and consultant, because people go to you for, for advice and for recommendations. So think about just that one person and write down a list of all the things they are saying to you. Boom, 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 right? Just that one person, right? And then answer those questions, because there's your content there, right? That's the specificity that you're looking for, that when you put that on a LinkedIn post, for example, or a newsletter or an email, they're like, yep, Carissa, you're talking to me, thank you, yep, you hear me, you see me. Right? And that's what you want to create. All right, moving on to sales. So, and how having your niche might be impacting your sales. What this looks like is that your strategy, your sales activities are all over the place. They lack focus, or you might actually be going down the wrong path, right? So some kind of ways this shows up is that you're potentially staring at a computer and you're wondering who to talk to, right? Like Carissa told you, like, you gotta go do some outreach, right? Go to talk to some folks. And you're just kind of blankly looking at, like, where do I even start, right? Who do I talk to? Another way this shows up is you might be going to a lot of networking events because, yay, we're back in person and such. And you're spending a lot of time, you're talking to a lot of people, right? Collecting a lot of business cards or whatnot. But they're not exactly the best conversations, the most fun conversations, not really finding clients with all that effort of driving to the event, finding a sitter maybe. And now I got to talk to folks that I don't even know if I really want to be here with them. Right. So like where this again, when you're not super focused on who you actually are looking for, you might be diversifying too much. You might be going into spending your time and it's all over the place, right? And so some of the questions I have for you are, do you have a prospect list? Do you have a target? And do you know where your ICA, that target is? Like, where are they hanging out? And when you don't have that, right, you again will spend time in places that you probably shouldn't have been in the first place. So my solution for you when you are thinking about, okay, your networking activities, your sales activities, I want you to think about, okay, who truly is my ICA? I think you need to narrow down on that first. That's going to help you like niche down, right? Who is that ideal client avatar? Again, think about your past clients or people that, again, if you didn't have clients yet, just people who've helped along the way. Think of one person and identify them. Write down their demographics. Write down, more importantly, what their interests are, what their values are, and where they hang out. All right. And then you can write down a list of of networking opportunities, places, like all the communities, all the LinkedIn groups, all the networking events that there might be available to you in your local area, conferences that you might want to travel to. Where is that person? And go be where they are. Stop wasting time at these generic like networking events that are just with a bunch of boring people that you had no interest in talking to in the first place, right? So where is your favorite person, your favorite ICA, where are they hanging out, and go hang out with them, right? So those are some of my tips for you all in terms of being able to, and why, like niching down why you might be leaving money on the table and spending all this time unnecessarily doing other things when you don't have that niche, all right? And if that was helpful, I would, again, invite you to send me a DM. I'd love to chat with you. Or if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And if you want me to take a look at your specific business and to see where, within your process, where can you find more sales? right? So I invite you to book a LinkedIn sales and marketing strategy call with me, and together we'll identify that. We'll figure out exactly where in your sales process you really need to focus on, and I'll give you 3 specific action steps. I have a bias for action, 3 specific action steps that you can implement immediately so you can get more clients. Okay. So while I wait for some questions in here, one major question that I often will get from folks is this pushback on, Carissa, I want to help everyone though. I don't know who to choose, right? Like I want to help all these people. And my kind of a statement back to you or question back to you will be, or is, who do you want to win? I often give this example of the Olympics. Simone Biles, right? Let's take her. She has a coach, right? And that coach spends a lot of time with Simone. And so similarly, you will be spending a lot of time with your client, 3-month containers, even 6-week containers. That's time, right? 1 hour each. That's a lot of time. And my question is that someone you want to spend your energy and time with? How excited are you? Maybe scale 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. Are you like, yeah, I want to spend time with that person? That is who you should start to think about as your ideal client avatar, your favorite person, right? Because that is who you ultimately want to win, who you're going to spend a lot of time with, who you're going to invest a lot of time and energy on developing and getting them over whatever hump that they're challenge they're experiencing, and why they've hired you, right? So think about that. Who do I want to stand on the top, that number 1 spot on the podium? And start writing about that person, all right? You can do all the things. You can help everyone for sure, but it doesn't mean you have to, and it doesn't even mean you should. So who do you want to win? That is my last tip for you in terms of figuring out who your ICA is, all right? And then ultimately be able to communicate with them, speak their language, bring it down, and then ultimately have them come in and want to work with you, all right? All right, friends. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on Built by BIPOC, business tips and mindset shifts. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send me a DM. And again, if you want to go deeper, you want a deeper dive on your specific business, I invite you to book a free LinkedIn sales and marketing strategy call with me so we can take a look at your business. We'll look at your sales process and we'll figure out together what the 3 action items that you need to take to focus on today so that you can land more clients. All right, I'll drop that link in the in the chat. It's also in my profile if you want to visit my profile. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'll see you next time, and cheers to building our liberatory futures together. Bye.